All right, let's do intro to the muscular system. Let me apologize for a couple things in advance. One, the table is going to shake every time I move my hand, and my basement creates a lot of shadows, so keep that in mind as we go. There was a shadow right there. Let's do intro to the muscular system. It's not going to be an assignment, but you guys can watch it. Let's talk about types of muscle tissue first. I'll try to write big enough for you guys to see. Types of muscle tissue, and you guys know we already reviewed this. There are three basic types. Skeletal, which you guys know is always generally found attached to some type of bone or part of the skeletal system. The next is cardiac, only found in one place, and that's the heart. And you guys can go back and review the content on that if you have your notes with you. And number three is smooth muscle tissue. Very specialized and found in a handful of locations. Now, one of these is more common than the others. Do you guys remember which one it is? And I know you can't answer questions, so I'm going to have to tell you it's this one. That's the most, oh, great star there. That's the most common one, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time. Now, let's talk about functions. Now, remember, when I say functions of muscle tissue or of muscles in general, specifically skeletal muscles, that is, what does the muscle do for you, not actually what the muscle can do. So that's a different category. So the number one function, and everybody should have had this on their homework, was muscles provide movement. And not just movement of the skeletal system, movement of a lot of things, moving things around the body, pumping blood, all of those things. That's the number one function. Number two, some very soft contracting, long-term contracting muscles can maintain posture or body position, and I'm sure some of you read that online. Number three, and I'm putting these in an order in which I think are the most important, and that is to produce body heat. By contracting over and over and over, muscles can produce body heat, but you guys know as human beings that's a little bit limited because we have hair, we don't have fur. So even though we are producing body heat, without clothes, jackets, and insulating materials, probably wouldn't work for us very well. And number four, this is the one you normally don't really think about a whole lot. And this is storing or controlling substances. So when I'm talking about this one, I'm really talking about muscles that fall into this category. Sphincter says what? Sphincter says what? Anybody know what a sphincter is? A sphincter is any circular muscle that controls the diameter of an opening or a tube. I'm going to make sure I'm on camera there. To control the opening of a diameter, the diameter, or, I messed that up. Any circular muscle, I didn't even finish spelling it. Oh, that's supposed to be muscle right there. Any circular muscle that controls the diameter of an opening or a tube. So you can control the input of food into the stomach and out of the stomach, so you can control the speed. You can maintain and control liquid in the bladder so you don't release it when you don't want to. And let's face it, when you get to what people really refer to as the sphincter, that would be the anus, keeps you from ruining a good pair of pants. So those are the four basic functions. Now from there, let's take a look at the four abilities. Or qualities of the muscle tissue itself. Number one, and we talked about this when we did the intro, number one is contractility. Contractility is the ability of muscle tissue to shorten, and then by shortening, it can pull, and then by pulling, it gives you all of these variety of functions and movement and everything else. Number two, and this should all be in your homework from that last assignment. Excitability. Did anybody look that one up? That is the ability to react to electrical stimulation. That means that muscle tissue has the ability to react from electrical signals coming from your brain or your nervous system. So that includes the spinal cord in terms of automatic reactions. So that's excitability. Now, for the most part, when you look at skeletal muscle, you have conscious control over that. It's voluntary. You actually contract muscles when you want to by conscious thought and then electrical stimulation from your brain. 3, extensibility. And don't, if I misspell something on these videos, please do not crucify me in the comments, okay? Extensibility, that's the ability of a muscle to stretch. And more importantly, stretch without what? Without tearing. Now, as I say that, obviously some of you have probably torn a muscle or some type of connective tissue related to muscle. That stretch does come within limits, but if the muscle couldn't stretch, it wouldn't be able to stretch out while other muscles contracting, and that would seriously limit your mobility. And number 4, the last quality of muscle tissue is elasticity. And we have talked about this a kabillion times in the tissue unit. What's elasticity? That's the ability to stretch. You're like, hey, Scurb, that's extensibility. Nope, there's more to it than that. Not only stretch, but then rebound or return to its normal shape. Very important as a muscle has been stretched and then coming back to its normal shape so then it can contract and then shorten on its own. So that was the basic intro right there to the muscular system, and in the next video we're going to move on to connective tissue and general anatomy.